For me, family is a humongous anchor. I'm not going to give my whole story, but I grew up in foster care. I got adopted at a young age, or like 14 years old. And then I had this really interesting like base of not having my family. And so when I got older and I could have my family, it's been this anchorage like to me. And I always wanted to give my kids something better than I had. I didn't have mom in the household. I didn't have dad in the household. So for me, the fact that I get to wake up and my real kids are in my home it's seriously every day I'm like, it's super cool. And so while it sounds odd, it's not. Like, just enjoy it. I'm just going to talk you guys through some points that I have found in my journey to be things that have helped me become a better parent. Now, I became a dad at 19 years old. My oldest son just turned 17. In fact, last Thursday got his letter back from the University of Oregon of acceptance. So the school that I went and played football at, my son now has an opportunity to go run track at, which is Tracktown USA. Hey, yo, super excited to get that one. He still has to get in for track, but academically he's sound. But man, I pretty much went from being like a high school kid to dad. Like I was telling somebody just yesterday, I'm like, man, I can't recall time without being a dad after high school. It's like I was a kid, I graduated high school, go to college. Oh, I'm a dad right now. And I've been a dad ever since. Now, here's the interesting thing. I've never not loved being a father. Now, I don't know if you have kids at all, or maybe you want to have kids. There's always been this anchor to me of like, I love being a dad. When I found out that I was going to be dad, I was standing in the locker room. My fiance at the time had called and said, hey, I'm late. I went to Planned Parenthood. We're pregnant. And from that moment, I was like, yeah, like I get to give back to a life in a way that wasn't given to me. Now, that being said, have I been a perfect parent? Absolutely not. I am sure I have jacked my kids up. I'm sure of it, because they're different humans with different ways to do things. But some of the things that I've learned through this journey of not just me navigating being a kid, having a kid, but also growing up and looking back and going, man, what would I have done different? What do I do now different than I did 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Because I also have 12-year-old twins that are same, I guess, kind of people, but vastly different. So I'm going to walk you through points I have today, and I'm going to share with you my perspectives. Now, that being said, I'm going to give you this kind of precursor. Some of the things I share are not going to sit perfectly, I'm sure, because we're all different. I do not believe there is a right or a wrong way to parent. I think that there are different ways to do different things. And I don't care what happens. You could be on your page a perfect parent, but because your kid is different, man, you may not fit with that kind of parenting style. What they need is a parenting style. So the idea is like, if you kind of listen to these things, you may hear some stuff that goes, it doesn't fit with me. And that's okay. I'm not going to go and put a torch in the ground and say, I'm sticking to this. You better do it. No, I'm just giving you some thoughts and ideas. So without further ado, let's pop into this. First things first, you do not want to slave away so your kids can have everything. Now, you can write these out if you want. You don't have to. Here's what I mean. I find that in my area, in most suburban areas, in most areas, people go, I got to work real hard. I'm a slave away so my kid can do whatever they want to do in life. And to an extent, I get this. You want to be able to fund your kids' dreams and create what you want to create for your kids. But I've found in my journey, in my life, that I've watched people, and I've watched multiple generations where that was the dad's mentality. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to slave away. I'm going to do my thing. I'm not going to chase my expressive dream. So I give my kids the hope and opportunity to go do more. Now, while you have the KDs of the world, right? The people who are like, my mom worked 2 jobs and went and played basketball professionally. Majority of people I've found do this. They go and watch mom and dad slave away, do their job, and they think that's the way to do it because they're mimicking what they've watched somebody do. They watch them have these jobs and fight and battle with money and all these kind of things. So what happens is they do what they've naturally seen. So what I found is in my journey, I said, you know what? I want to change that. I don't want to do something just to do it so my kids have money, so they can go to school, or they can eat, because I can find a way to feed them and take them to do what they want while also chasing a passion. So my kids go, holy crap, that's actually possible. Like my kids have watched me on national television climb a wall on American Ninja Warrior. That is not something every kid can say they saw, but I in my heart of hearts believe because of that, my kids see things as possible outside of the norm. That I believe is how you give your kids a different perspective. You're going to get them to do what they want by showing you doing what you want. So the idea is like, show them how to live with passion. Show them how to chase a dream. Don't be a detriment to their life. Don't push them away. We'll talk about that. But the idea is you have to live in a space beyond what your current comfortable space is if you want your kids to. So the best way to love them in a way, in my opinion, to go chase a big, huge dream is to go and chase a big, huge dream. Let them watch you stumble and fall. My kids have watched me stumble and fall and do dumb stuff. But they've also seen me be on stages and share and teach and talk. And when I'm in public, they go, man, like they see people walk up and go, hey, thanks for what you did. So that, I believe, puts a different seed in their heart. That's the first of many. Number 2, do not rob your kids of their hardships. Repeating this one because you need to hear it. Do not rob your kids of their hardships. My kid, Tiz, he's oldest son. His name's Anthony. We have a nickname of Tiz. Not going to tell you why it's his nickname, but there was a time back in middle school when he was getting picked on after school. And so he calls my wife, like, there's this kid picking on me. My wife gets in a car, shoots down, doesn't tell me. And she's out there yelling at this kid. And I go, what happened? She goes, well, this kid was, picking on him. So I wasn't going to let him, do it to my son. Right. It's right. Mama bear. I totally get it. Totally get this. But here's what took place. She got down there. My kid never had the ability to manage this situation on his own. Now, I'm not saying that he should have been getting picked on, but I am saying I would have loved to have that conversation at home after the fact when that emotion sets into my son to talk about how do we navigate these moments, because that hardship was robbed from him. He didn't have the ability to build the muscle so that he could say the right thing, handle himself, avoid the situation properly because mom came and saved the day. Now, it's okay for you as a parent to save your kids. Totally get that. But there's got to be a line, a demarcation line where you go, you know what? I'm going to let my kids struggle, especially if you have the means to support your kids so they don't struggle with finances or food or a house to stay in, right? If you have the basics and foundation, well, how are they going to have the grit to get past the hard parts of life later on if they don't develop that now in your tutelage? So you can't rob your kids of these hardships they have. So I told my son, this is a one you maybe you agree with and don't. I am not a proponent of ever instigating a fight. My kids, I tell them, you do not ever put your hands on people in any way. However, if somebody puts their hands on you, you better defend yourself. You've got it, because if not, they'll do it again and again and again. So I said, if they touch you, physically touch you, you end it by taking care of this fight and the next 100 by going like a Tasmanian devil. You go crazy. I just don't hurt them and hit them, but you got to handle yourself. So a couple of days later, I'd had a conversation with my son about, look, if this kid gets in your face, just leave, man, walk away. But if he touches you, you've been doing jujitsu, man. Jujitsu his face, whatever. And so next thing I know, I get a call 2 days later. And my son got in trouble because he went to the office because this kid was pushing him around, physically pushing him. So next, this kid's in a neck hold on the ground. And the teacher comes, gets him off, and I go to the school. I say what took place. He told me what happened. I said, to understand it, I'll have a talk with my son. We had that talk at Baskin Robbins. Now, the reason we had it at Baskin Robbins, because I'm like, great, son. Now, guess what? That kid never bothered him again. In fact, the kid ended up becoming a buddy later on, weirdly, because, well, now this kid had some level of respect for my son. So the idea is you can't rob the kids of their hardship, because when they develop the skill sets to manage their life, now they get to this point of being the strong human being you want them to be. So don't take all the hardship away. Let them experience it and then help them understand how to navigate it better next time. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hey. I got a little clapping. Hey. Who in here has ever had an issue with boundaries? Any of you ever do that? Yeah, me too. Here's how it happened. At one point in time, I would have these blocks and segments I had a brick and mortar gym, blocks and segments where I wanted people to come in and do their thing. But when I needed to work, I needed to work. And I was really good at getting the work done if nobody bothered me. And what would happen is people would come up, and in my 2-hour window, I do 2 hours of conversation that I shouldn't have been having. It sound familiar? And the next thing you know, the 2 hours is gone and nothing I wanted to get done got done. And I'm going to walk you through what I call bulletproof boundaries, because we got to have boundaries. And I don't think enough people think this way. So what I'm going to look at is what are the things that become issues in my life, and how can I get to the point of creating boundaries to keep the good things in and the bad things out? It's all about having focus and discipline, right? Well, I can't be focused and disciplined if I have no boundaries. Can't get anything done, right? So I'm focused on how do I look at this aspect of setting a boundary so I can stay disciplined. This is the discipline aspect, bulletproof boundaries. So here's what I do. This is what I call the foundation. The word discipline is interesting. It actually has some ties to disciple and plan. So discipline essentially means, am I following, disciple, the plan? And most of us, we'll do a good job of making that plan, won't we? We'll get vision boards, get the plan. I got a plan over here. I got this whole structure right. And then I get down, I say, okay, from 9 to 10 a.m., I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this thing in preparation. And then all of a sudden what happens is I don't do it. And usually the reason I don't do it is because I didn't anchor down the foundation, I call it, of why it's got to get done. It's a nice to do, but we don't make it a need to do. And so what I do with people, and I tell you in the very beginning, is you got to get to a point where you sit down and say, look, why am I doing this? Why does it got to get done right now at this time? Because if not, then it's like, you know what? I can do that tomorrow. I saw this new show popped up on Netflix, and maybe I'll go watch that. And I heard about this cool documentary, or I start scrolling through social media, right? And so what happens is we didn't put a foundation as why in the world must this get done right now? Then what I do is I teach people you got to put in what I call parameters. Now, think of it like this. If I'm on a road and I'm driving somewhere, the parameters are the lines of the road. Now, a lot of people don't set the lines of the road. What can I go into and go out of? Now, if you think about it, it's not fun to work towards a goal and be so militant and rigid that you hate the process of actually going down the path towards the goal. You know what I mean? Like it's like I want to achieve it, but I don't want to achieve it and like have to like not enjoy my life. Like I want to smell the roses. I want to go have a beer, hang out with the girls, take a trip, catch a movie if I want to. It's just I want to be able to enjoy it. So what I tell people is you actually have to set parameters that feel good to you. Not what somebody says, not what you read on the internet, not what your idol and hero person said. What feel like good parameters to you, right? So just so you know, my parameters for life are after about the time of 3:34, like don't message me because I'm probably not going to message you back. I'm a family guy. I am in what I call season of dad right now. So I got a 16-year-old, I got 11-year-old twins, and I got a wife, and we have a family, and I love my family, and that's the core of my humanity. And so whenever I look at my parameters, like I know what I'm doing and why. So, but at the same time, like I may not work at the level of somebody who's like, you know what, I work, I get up at 6 and I'm working until like, 10, and then I'm going straight till 8 p.m. That's great. It's just not going to work for me. And I'm not going to feel bad, which you shouldn't feel bad simply because you're not doing what somebody else is doing. So you have to actually set your own parameters of what the parameters are that you will stay in the lanes. I don't go here. I don't go here. I stay straight in this lane. Then we have number 3 is what I call awareness. Now, this is big. Awareness is essentially, as you're going through your life, are you presently aware in the moments of when situations are coming up? So you ever heard of the thing at hindsight's 2020, right? Like, oh man, I wish I would have thought about this back then, right? People don't presently become aware. So the parameters they set, they don't actually look at them. They're just, it's like driving down that road. I have my parameters. And what happens is I'm looking at my radio or I'm texting. And what happens? We do this, we crash. So what I tell people is in the moments of when you're living your life and doing your stuff, the awareness piece is essentially you want to go back and have times or moments where you actually check. This is time audits throughout the day. This is like every once in a while, like set an alarm on your phone. I've done this where I'm like, I set an alarm so it goes off to remind me to check what I'm doing. And I kid you not, it'll catch me in the middle of scrolling through Facebook. I'm supposed to be writing emails. I'm like, okay. So I go and I got a little egg timer. I'm dead serious. I might have showed this in the past. I have like an egg timer that I use specifically for this. It just goes on my desk and I spin it and I put it down and I go, here, all right, this is my thing and my awareness. So what I'm doing is I and you should be trying to be presently aware of, are you within your parameters? Because when it comes to being disciplined, if you can't stay in that lane, which thing about discipline is staying consistent to the plan over time. If you aren't able to be presently aware, you don't get that thing done. And then you feel crappy because I didn't get that thing done. And then the progress isn't made. And I got to make excuses to other people or to myself. I fall out of integrity internally. I start thinking, man, I don't know if it's for me. I can't even get my stuff done. Right. It's a downward spiral. And all you have to do is not scroll on social media or not go out and hang out, like whatever it might be. Awareness is a big piece. So you have to be aware of what are the things going on. Then comes to a big one. And this is the one that I think we got to spend some time on right now. It's called triggers. Now, in life, there are certain things that are triggers that trigger the awareness. So it's not just a matter of hoping and setting an alarm for it all the time. You can actually have triggers in life that tell you like, hey, what's really going on? Like I got, some idea of like realistically, here's what's going on. And so what you should do in this moment, if you get time or like at some point after this, I want you to sit down and think about in my own life, what are the typical triggers that I experience that throw me off? So we have triggers, things that follow in. So for your own life, as people keep doing this, what you think about is, does your wife come in and bother you? Do your kids come in? Does your phone keep ringing, right? And what you do is you plan in moments where you have to be focused, how to adapt and honestly adjust to the triggers that are constantly popping up in your life. And it's going to be unique to you, obviously, completely unique, right? And so when I have this unique piece, I can actually weave in like, how am I going to do what I got to do in this moment to address the trigger? And the trigger is the thing we're going to talk about. It goes to the last piece, which is called willpower. Now, the willpower is a piece that I think a lot of people really fail in. And this is the one thing that you get this right, it's a game changer. So let's be honest. If you think about it, there's times you meet people or people in your life and, they say, hey, you want to go hang out somewhere, or your husband's like, hey, do you want to go watch a movie? Somebody says, hey, do you want to go do this thing? And because it's a good lead into training people, because in the past, you've always been like, yeah, no, count me in. I'll go do that thing, right? What they do is they ask you and then you say, no, I can't. So what do they say? Oh, come on, right? And you go, no, I really can't. Nah, come on. Okay. And then you often go do it. You have now trained them that all they got to do is ask you about 2 times. And sure enough, you're off, right? So what I found is like, all right, well, how can I manage this and how can I do what's necessary? I must have in the moment willpower. Because what happens is if all of a sudden they ask me one time and I do it, they're going to ask me one time and I'm going to do it. If the next time they ask me and I do it twice, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, cool, they're going to do it. They're going to do the same thing twice. But listen, if I say no and they ask, you sure you want to go? I say no. Come on, you want to go? I say no. Come on, no. All right, he doesn't want to go. They leave me alone. Took them 4 times. My willpower held up. Then for my willpower, I was able to press off and stay disciplined on what I had to get done, right? Then what happens is they come up again. Hey, you want to watch this TV show? No, I can't do it. You want to watch TV show? No. Okay, whatever. Twice. Ooh, twice, right? Then what happens in the future, if they come ask, hey, do you want to go down and catch the show? I don't want to do it. Okay, off and going. It's easy. But the thing is, a lot of people, they break it far too fast because they don't have a foundation. There's no parameter of what they can and can't do. They're not able to be presently aware of what should take place. They don't have any triggers in place that they've planned for. Because, for example, if you have children, my trigger in my life is like, if they ask a question, I legitimately, the first thing I say is no. Like, hey, Dad, can I? No. Okay, what do you want? So I've already been in the realm of no. And if I want to say yes, I can change it. I quite literally am like, nope. That's my trigger for their asking of questions. Now, obviously, I will say yes. I'm like, what do you want? They just know, but like I'm already in a space of no. So if it's a no, I'm like, I already said no. And they're like, all right. They move on. They get it, right? But I have a trigger. I have a response, and I know it in advance before I get to it. So for you, your trigger may not be people. It might be the notification on your computer when it pops up. It could be an email that comes in. What is my triggered response to stay disciplined in this bucket of time I have to get something done? And then do I have the willpower to hold the way I got to hold? I'm telling you, the difference between those who are good and great is not the information. It's who's able to do what they have to do with that information. Here's what I know a lot of people struggle with. I owned a gym for a long time. Trained a lot of individuals, moms, dads, athletes. One of the biggest things people want to figure out how to do is, how do I get in better shape? How do I lose fat? How do I gain muscle? How do I? And today I'm going to give you guys some insights on how to do that from a physiological standpoint. So logic comes in. It's not this, well, my mom's sister's cousin took this pill that she found on the street one day. Like, we're not going to go off in some tangent, okay? And I'm not going to talk about nutrition because that's something you should consult your doctor about or find somebody who can help you there. Here's what I will say about nutrition. Stop eating trash. There you go. Hey, we got a solution, right? If you go into the grocery store, don't go searching in the areas that are the middle of aisles or the middle of the grocery store. Go to the outsides, the upper and the lower. Why? Because the companies that want you to eat the garbage food, they pay a lot of money to be in that middle aisle. So when you go into the store, if you're like, Anthony, I don't know what to eat the things you're not currently eating if you're unhealthy. Ready? We solved that one? Good. Look at it. Moving on. So here's what we're going to talk about. There is this concept around like fat loss that most people don't grasp. And if you actually, what I'm going to teach, if you understand this, you're going to understand why and see why certain programs and training methodologies have worked for people to get strong, to get to lose weight, all that stuff. So if you've had like these troublesome abilities to lose weight and all that kind of fun stuff, you will understand how the body works right now. So first things first, you have to find something you like to do. I'm going to preface this. When it comes to exercise, the biggest, I think, issue that people run into is they go and find, well, Susan across the street and Nick down the street, well, they got treadmills and he has a kettlebell. I'm going to go buy a kettlebell. I'm going to go buy a treadmill. You know what it becomes? The treadmill becomes a very expensive clothes hanger in your garage. And I guarantee somebody right now has one of these things sitting there. Why? Because you don't like running. So don't go run. And you could go run outside, by the way. So find something you love to do. This comes with trial and error, right? Find an actual exercise you enjoy doing so it's not a chore. It will be hard, but it doesn't need to be a chore. Now, as we progress, I'm going to talk to you about what's called the 3 areas, or the trifecta of fat loss. And this actually it's scientifically proven. This isn't some bro science. I'm not making something up here. You'll understand how it works. So here is the first stage in how our body will actually help us burn calories. Have you guys ever heard of the concept of fast twitch, slow twitch muscle fiber? Anybody heard of this before? Beautiful. There's actually multiple different fiber types. I want to say around 5 or 6, but we just simplify and go fast twitch, slow twitch. The difference is fast twitch muscle fiber, it's going to draw a lot of energy. I can use it for a short amount of time, but I'm a fatigue quick. This is going to be like sprinting, lifting heavy weights, that kind of stuff. Slow twitch says, look, I don't have a lot of power and I don't take a lot of drain. Like I don't pull a lot of calories, but I can go for a long time. This is jogging. This is going for walks. This is movement over any kind of distance that's not at max effort, around like 30 seconds plus. Now we're not going into energy systems today, whole different conversation. Just keep in mind fast twitch, slow twitch. So what the science shows is that I can go in and say I did a slow twitch muscle fiber workout that took me an hour to get done and I burned maybe 500 calories. What happens for us is 2 things here. One is I'm burning calories and it feels great. But then when I'm off the treadmill or I'm off walking, my body stops burning calories. It's a problem. It's good, but like I'm only sore for a little bit. I got a sweat on and I'm good and I stop burning calories, which is, it's not beneficial. There's ways you can fix this, right? But the idea is like, I did a whole workout. I want to have some added benefits. This is why what's called fast twitch muscle workouts come into play. And there's multiple kinds of ways to do it. This is anything that's full exertion for you. This could be a sprint. It's lifting weights. This is why CrossFitters do this stuff, high intensity. And here's why. In an hour's workout, if I did it in a slow twitch and I burned 500 calories, follow me with the math, people, I could actually work out 30 minutes, half the time, and burn those 500 calories with fast twitch. So what I'm saying is you can burn the same amount of calories in less time, sometimes more, in fact, in less time. This is why people who seem to be in crazy good shape, where are they always at? They're in the weight room. Do you know why gyms have cardio theaters with TV screens and cool little stuff? Because they know that if they get you to come hang out there, you're not going to get in shape. So guess where you have to keep going? To the gym. Consistently for years. It's a business. They want to make money. They make beautiful cardio theaters. They tuck the gym rats in the corner, but those people look like they're in the best shape because the workouts that they're doing. Now, you do not have to go do their workouts. Everything has a progression. Again, choose something that resonates with what you like to do. Hire somebody who knows more about it than you know about it, but find someone and find workouts that will allow you to burn more calories in less time. And then here's why the benefit is. When you get done doing a fast twitch exertion kind of workout, you in fact burn calories up to 42 hours past your workout. This is the second stage of the trifecta. Who's ever lifted weights or done some runs and got sore like for like 5 days and couldn't walk? Yeah. I got the hands up, right? That's because your body's still recovering. So what happens is my body is still moving. It's still recovering. I'm sleeping. It's still burning calories. So a treadmill, getting off a treadmill, I got to get sweat. I got hot, good for cardio, helps the heart. But it's not going to help me burn fat, not going to help me tone muscle, right? So the idea is like, if you really want to burn some fat, tone, build some muscle, the idea isn't to do a treadmill. It's to do something that's a little bit heavier weights than you're used to doing at your own relative level. And then the in-between portion, when the body is recovering, you're still burning calories. Now, here's the third piece that few people think about. And here's why individuals who start out with workout routines, they get to that point of like, I've been working out for a month and I got no results. Back to their burritos. Like we just like, it didn't work. I'm just going to go and, back and eat some, because we're like, it's not working. And here's why. What happens in the third stage of the trifecta is called a resting metabolic rate, RMR. Right now, every single person on here has a metabolic rate at rest, which means sitting here, while you're sitting here, you're burning calories. You're burning calories while you sleep. You're burning calories in any way. Just sitting here, your body is churning. It's why your body gets hungry, right? If you just sat and did nothing, you'd at least get hungry. Body's still doing something, right? And here's the unique thing. The more lean muscle mass you have on your body, the higher your resting metabolic rate, the higher your body's rate of burning calories is at rest, which allows you to work out. So if I work out with heavy weights, I'm burning more calories in less time. I'm then having the in-between of recovery, still burning calories. And then once I've recovered and I have that nice, fresh, lean muscle, I'm burning more calories at rest doing nothing. So when I talk about the ramp up that first month, your body hasn't got all 3 tiers ticked in yet. Most people just stop too early. They say, well, this isn't working. I've done it for 30 days. It's not going on, right? And what happens is because you didn't let the body get past the sore point, get to the point of having lean muscle. So here's what happens. When I got more lean muscle, what can I do? Well, I'm a little bit stronger. I got less body weight. I can do a harder, heavier workout. Maybe I can do some pull-ups now. I can do heavier weights. So I degrade the muscle even more and I have to recover even more. And then I got more muscle and I'm stronger. So then I can actually lift heavier weights and I can do harder workout. See how it works? So the whole role for people that want to build muscle and burn fat, it's not only the nutrition. It's a huge piece because you have to have the right nutrition in order to actually get a good workout in. Actually, I took Brennan's Optimize today, right? You got to have good things in your body. On top of that, you've got to have the ability for yourself to recover in between with the right nutrients. And you have to have the right stuff in your body to actually maintain that lean muscle mass. So the whole trifecta works in this way. And so what you have to do is give your body time to catch up. And then all of a sudden, it'll start shedding fat and building muscle like crazy because it gets past those intro ramp up points. So for example, if anybody's been on my Instagram anytime in the last, I don't know, like 5 months or something, when I started the beginning of this year, I was a lot bit bigger than I should have been. I didn't have any Brennan, I couldn't go on Brennan's stage, so I didn't have any reason to get in shape. So I was at home just eating up that healthy food. It was so good. Holidays, I had to see anybody. Oh, you guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I just ate a bunch of food. And let's give you a little bit of a reference. When I was playing in the NFL, I weighed at most 240 pounds and I had 12% body fat. When I weighed in on December 31st of 2020, I weighed 250 pounds and I was about 27% body fat, 25, 27. Yeah. Yes. I'm not there now. I lost it. All right. So at the beginning of the year, I was like, I got to do something about this. So I started this program and I wanted to lose a bunch of weight. I was like, I got to get the weight back down, but the muscle back up. I know that guy's in there, just like you. The body is in there for yourself. And I knew this in my head, how this works. So the first few weeks, I'm building. I'm doing hard workouts, and I'm dying, by the way. Like, I'm not as young as I used to be. My body knows that. And the recovery, I had to eat the right food. Then I had to keep drinking water, and I would be sore. I wasn't going, right? In the first probably 30 days, I might have lost maybe 10 pounds, From the next 30 days to the next 45 days, that window, I lost 27 more pounds. It wasn't in the beginning. It doesn't happen at first. It doesn't happen immediately, right? And I sell this stuff so you get a grasp of like, it takes time. And what's unique about this is like the body will ramp up, and then here's what's crazy. It's actually harder for me right now to gain weight. I've tried to eat some stuff. I actually got down so low that I was like, I got to get back, but my body is churning so fast, the resting metabolic rate, it's hard to get back. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to talk about the workers today and who closes the year strong. So as you guys have met, I know I'm a former NFL athlete. And so for me, I've played a lot of different seasons. I've done a lot of different stuff. I'm obviously any sports fans, hands, I can see anybody sports fans in here. Isn't it cool? Like if you have a team and they've been playing, like they started so, they had a slump mid-year. And then all of a sudden at the end of the year, they pick it up. And next thing you know, they go off and win like championships. Anybody seen that happen before? Like it's cool and like the whole ride is experience is like a whole great feeling. And I just, like there's something special about that. And I realized that is what a lot of us miss for our lives. We miss that the back of the year, like the year started strong, let's go, hey. And all of a sudden we get going and we kind of get into that flow. We have some wins, we have some losses, but at the end of the year, we kind of just like, let's wait for the beginning of next season, next year, right? What if your team did that? If your team went, say, hey, at the end of the year, let's just wait for next season, you would hate that team. Like, I'm not with those guys, right? So we shouldn't do it for our lives. We should focus on how do we create a new momentum leading into next year to build up. Because here's what I do know. We are primed more than ever now to have such great opportunities in this world. Because if you guys have noticed the world, like it's kind of a little bit on shaky ground. And we feel unsettled sometimes. And so if we can lead in and go, hey, I'm ready to take over, it's a matter of you coming and being the stability you seek in this world. That's the thing. Can you create and be the stability you seek? So next year going forward, you have control. You're not like a leaf in the wind like we've sometimes felt in this world. So I'm going to today walk you through what for the last few years I've actually done. And I sat back and I was like, what do I do? Because I have a weird little process I've never actually titled or named, but I just do every year because I actually look at the end of the year and go, hey, my body naturally goes, it's October, it's November, it's December. let me go ahead and drink some more. Let me have a little more food. Let me just hang out. I want to bundle up because it gets cold. And then next thing I know, it's like, oh, it's January and I'm more fat than I probably should be. Actually, last year, this time I started gaining weight. So by the end, December 31st of last year, I was 250 pounds. And I typically sit at 220. Like I, on 3 months, added 10 pounds per month. Like I wanted to set a record for some reason. So I know what this is like when I just let things go. And last year, I'm like, never again, Anthony. So I'm going to tell you what I've been doing and what I stopped doing, and also what I will do for the rest of my life ongoing. I'm not going to lie, though. It's kind of cool to sit around and not work out and drink bottles of wine. It's just, isn't it sometimes like you need that? You need that a little bit. I got some head nods. So let's go into this. So I've titled this the R7 system. Let's hop into this. The first R is what I call review. And here's what I mean by review: a very hard look. Now, the hard look is not always easy to take. And to be quite honest, it's sometimes a little bit scary, because I want you to take a look at your life, which you've been doing this entire year. And I want you to take a very hard look and go, hey, what have I been doing that hasn't been serving the vision, the dream, the mission of where I'm supposed to go? Because you set this intention at the beginning of the year. You said, I'm going to go here. It's going to be my life. I'm going to create this thing. And then somewhere along the line, if you're doing great, phenomenal. Take a look at what you can improve upon. But if you're not where you wanted to be, what did I do that wasn't great? Where did I slow down? And honestly, if you have a planner, go take a look at your planner and see where you wrote things in that didn't get accomplished, or where you wrote things and if you go back and look, you go, yeah, that was a waste of my time. Because if we don't review, it's that whole process of, if you don't look at history, you're doomed to repeat it. So every time I complete one of my planners, I actually go back and I thumb through and I go, man, what did I have to do in my mind at the time, but not really have to do in real life, right? So review. And if you can't see something, here's what I do. I sit back and I ask people, hey, taking a look at what's going on in my life, what should I adjust or change? Like, you could actually outsource this to other people. It's seriously something you could ask your wife, because sometimes your wife or your husband are really good at telling you what you wasted time on, right? Because like you were talking about doing that thing and you didn't get that thing done. So the big thing first are review. And it should be something you go pretty deep on, because I want you to be able to pull out areas where you can see that you shouldn't have done things, and areas where you could have done better, been more precise, been more productive, been more focused. You could have been a high performer at a higher level, right? Review. The second R, reframe. Now, this is an interesting one, because what we sometimes do is we look at these areas, and what we end up having internally is this level of guilt, this level of maybe a little bit of disdain, or maybe a little bit of like shame, or we're self-deprecating, like, oh, you dropped the ball, you suck. Look what you wasted time, Anthony. What was wrong with you, right? And what I do in that moment is I don't actually reframe, which is big, to extract new information. Because the reframes, what a lot of us are missing, I find. It's not so much that you tried something and you didn't work out and you walk away. It's like, no, you tried something, it didn't work out. Why? And what's the silver lining? Maybe you tried an effort towards something in a new social adventure you're trying to do, and you created some stuff and it didn't pan out, and you go, oh, I just suck at video. No. Maybe you don't suck at video. Maybe you could have adjusted how you spoke about something, the way you opened with the first 3 seconds of your hook, maybe how the video was framed, maybe the topic itself didn't resonate with your people. Let's reframe what we gathered from this moment. Because if you review it and everything's bad and we feel bad, it's hard to press into the rest of the whole year and finish strong if the energy starts negatively. You ever try to do that? Like to start like a new motion with like negative emotion? It's hard to create momentum, right? It's hard to get that going if I feel, So the big thing is to reframe. And this is 100% where I go, hey, I had this take place. I noticed it didn't serve me, wasn't perfect. Let me go back and see, how can I see this from a new perspective? Because I believe this: perspective precedes enlightenment. The aha moment, right? A new perspective on a singular situation. If I can get a new perspective, I can go, oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, now that I see that, here's a new lesson, a new takeaway that I can use and apply going into the rest of the year. So when I get to these times of the year, I actually do typically sit back and go, okay, starting into the next year or into this year, what happened? What am I not seeing? What am I not noticing? Like, what are we not finding out or paying attention to? And then what happens is I can get to my wits end. I'll get to my level of what I can see. And here's where I definitively want you to do this. And it's going to sound odd, but if you do this today, it'll be a game changer. I want you to text or call a person who is close to you, who kind of knows your vision and dream. And I want you to share, say, hey, I took a hard look at my life and what I've been doing the last 7, 8, 9 months. And I noticed some things I haven't been doing or some things I tried that didn't work out. Can you hop on the phone with me or can you share with me what are some things of opportunity I'm not seeing? Where is there a positive that I'm not seeing in this situation? And obviously get your more optimistic minded friends, right? Hit your growth day community up like, hey, people, this took place. Because some people are just pessimistic and their life's not great. So like, everything sucks. There's no positive. You don't want those people, by the way. Find the people that are joyous, right? So ask them, hey, what can I not see? And it might be a phone call. It might be engaged in this community going, hey, you want to hop on a phone call real quick? I want to run some things by you. This took place. What am I not seeing, right? Because if you can reframe the moment, you can go, oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, now let me try this new thing. I'll try it this way next time. I get more hope. I get more energy. And now when you lead into the rest of the year, you actually have more of this positive emotion. There's not this drain or this disdain or this anguish of like, oh, man, it's all bad. No. I'm like, hey, opportunity, hope, joy. It's big. Welcome to my world, people. So this is going to be fun. I probably have maybe one framework today, but I believe that something with relationship, because it's such an intimate tie to our humanity, that stories I can tell you will resonate better. And I hope that within the stories, you see yourself as one of the characters or the people or the individuals involved. And in that process, you can extract something and go, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm going to take you back in the time. So it's 2000. I was hanging with my buddy Vinny because my buddy Vinny's a professional skater back, and I was in high school. It's, cool kids hang out with the cool guys, and he's a professional skater. And then there was this one time I went with my buddy Byron, who introduced me to Vinny. We went to this weird court to hang out. Now this is Antioch. This is back in my hometown. I'm like 16, 17, and I'm just going to tell you guys, I was not the most savory character. I wasn't even saved at this time. Wasn't doing crazy stuff. But I remember like we pulled up into this weird court, and my buddy Byron had this jug. You guys ever seen a gallon jug of Carlo Rossi wine? He had this gallon jug. He used to walk around downtown Antioch with it. Oh my gosh. And he was like 16. I don't even know how he got it. And anyways, we end up in this court, and my buddy Byron introduces me to this girl. And it's the only girl that's there. Her name's Christina. She goes to the same high school. I don't really know her, but like I just meet her and talk, and no big deal. Well, the ensuing months, we end up hanging out a lot. We end up, we're in the same friend group. We get to know each other. At one point, my buddy Christian was like dating her, and then he wasn't dating her, and then like still in the same friend group. And then I don't know, fast forward at some point, we're hanging out at my buddy Vinny's house we talked about. And I probably had a couple sips of that Carlo Rossi wine, we'll call it. And so I'm sitting there. I remember I was on the couch, and this girl comes up. We start talking and chatting. It's Christine. And next thing you know, like we kissed a little bit on the couch. We'll leave it at that. That's literally all it went. We just kissed on the couch. We're little kids. Don't do dumb stuff. And fast forward, like a year later, I don't know how it happens, but we're dating. Like we're dating. This is like my girlfriend. And I, growing up in foster care, have this weird tie to like the female in my life. So much so that at the end of the day, like the woman that's closest to me is really close to me. Like it's an attachment to my heart. I think there's just some space, and it holds itself because my biological mom, she just was distant. So I've always desired to have that kind of female presence in my life. And when it's there, like I'm locked in. And so like this girl at 18 years old, 2 years after that night on the couch, we'll call it, I was sitting there and I was in a car with her. Now, this is the thing that I realized. In high school, I wasn't the most academically sound person. In fact, my family, we didn't really do academics. I was one of 6. We were really poor. My mom and dad, they didn't graduate from the high school, I don't believe. My siblings, of all of us, I'm one of 6. I'm the only one who actually graduated from the high school, not continuation, not GED. And here's why. I had an opportunity to play college football. And I wasn't academically ready for it. But this girl I befriended, I was dating, was like a 4.1 GPA. So I'm that kid that her mom and dad are like, why are you hanging out with this athlete who gets bad grades in sports? She was like, he's a good kid, I promise. And I was a good kid. So we're sitting there, and like we would go every night back to her house, and she would help me do calculus. Like, or was it calculus? Stats. It might have been stats in high school or something. I had to figure out how to get my math stuff done because I did not know, and I was like a year behind. But if I got it dialed in and I got a better grade, I had a chance at a scholarship to go play football. So every night we would go through homework, and she seriously would sit there and like walk me through this stuff. And eventually I got a better grade. I get an opportunity to go play college football, University of Oregon, probably solely because she sat down and taught me how to study, taught me how to learn, taught me how to get better grades. So I go to college, we do the long distance thing. It doesn't work for me. I'm not really enjoying the distance, but I'm locked into her so much so, like, I don't talk to women. I don't do anything. In fact, at 18 years old, when she came up to visit me for a game, I proposed to this girl at 18 years old. So fast forward 9 months, I'm doing long distance. We don't like it. She's like, you know what? I found out your college, Oregon, has the degree that I want. I'm at UC Davis. I hate it here. And so we end up progressing into this thing where it's like, maybe you come up here. Yes, Nancy, go Ducks. It's like, maybe you come up here and go to school. Her family's like, I don't know. Do you really need to go up there to go to school? She's like, it's a great school, number 2 in the country for this. And so she makes a choice. Her family says, just don't get pregnant. Go up there, don't get pregnant, take care of school, be focused, good to go. I have a 16-year-old son. So about 6 months after she got up there, we got pregnant. Oh, man, don't do this. Don't tell your kids to do this either. Not a good recommendation. So fast forward a couple of years, I go to the NFL. I'm in the NFL. She's back home taking care of our son, and she's a trooper. She graduates with a 4.2 GPA, summa cum laude with her master's in special education. The chick's a beast. The actual quarter that she had our son, she still got a 4.0. Monstrous. And we're away from home. We're in college in Oregon. We're from California. So like, she's just, you get it. She's dope. So we're living this life, doing this thing. And I go to the NFL and we're doing the distance thing in the NFL. Ups and downs is tough, you know, because I'm gone like 7 of 10 months. Typically, I'm not really home that often, but we go back and forth. We communicate when we can. She's pretty much a single mom at home with me sending paychecks home. And it gets to the point where like I eventually NFL ends because NFL stands for not for long, in case you didn't know. Now, here's where the story gets to the point of why we're talking about it today, my friends. And I'm going to give you the good goods that are not that good. So I'm sitting here in these moments, you know, I come back to the NFL. I have a massive identity crisis. I don't know who I am. I've lost the sense of self as Anthony. And I'm sitting here in this moment. I'm going, who am I without football? And so I neglect the rest of my life. I've talked about the fruit of the labor, right? The fruit of my labor was football. And that one piece of fruit I was focused on, and I lost sight of the fact that I was a tree. And so what happened is I didn't give the nutrients to the tree. I didn't take care of the other branches on the tree. I didn't take care of the rest of the fruit. So when I'm focused on football getting lost, my business is failing. My marriage is failing. I'm not a present father. I'm getting out of shape. And I get to the point where I eventually have the situation where like I'm completely separate from my wife at this point. We were tight. I mean, so close. We knew everything, felt everything. And then it was like a stranger almost. And it got to the point where I'm in Hawaii and we're on this vacation. And I end up finding on her phone that she'd been texting somebody else. And the somebody else was another guy. And come to find out that my wife, the one I'd known since 16 years old, is having an affair. And I'm not going to go emotionally back there with you, but just know it hurts. Because if you've ever experienced that, it's painful. It's a different depth of pain. And it's also, I don't know if it's different for me because like, that's my world. Like this was my family. This is my wife. This is, you know, and we also had twins. So at this time we had 2 more kids. We had 3 kids and my world is now coming tumbling down. And I get to this point where we're going to tell you the truth, man. Got to the point where I wasn't a present father. I wasn't playing football. My marriage was on the outs. My family was falling apart, and being a foster kid, not having a family, like when I had it, being ripped away was probably the depth of pain that I can't put into words. And I remember feeling like I don't want to be here. Like if this is going to be life after the game, it's what I got to experience. Like I'm cool off this. I don't want this to be my work. I don't want to be here. And now, thankfully, I didn't do anything to take my life. But like that was a very clear and present thought for a moment. So for what I call the next like 6 years, I had was called the fog. The fog is that time when you get up and you have no idea what to do that day. This fog lasted from 2012 until 2016. It was a tough one. Because we had the whole situation of like in 2010, the divorce was finalized in 2012. So I was like separate from like 2011, like 2016. And here's what took place in 2016. And I'm gonna tell you this as the truth, the aspects of Anthony, you got to know him. Because if you're going to know me, you got to realize like I'm not proud of these moments. But these are moments that give you a sense of my humanity. So like when you are with somebody for so long, you want to be with somebody. And so I found myself for the first time in my life having multiple partners. Like I'd have women I would talk to, and I was always respectful and kind of like, hey, I'm not trying to be in a relationship. But to be honest, like I would give of myself and it would drain me and I had nothing. And I felt empty and I felt shameful. Like there was a day where I woke up on January 1st, 2016, and I was laying next to a strange woman from Russia, of all places, who had come because I went out and give a speech there. And I went into the bathroom and I looked myself in a mirror and I had this wave of like hate, shame for the man looking back at me. Like, I don't know if you've ever been here, but the relationship we have like with ourselves is one that's difficult and it's hard. if you don't like being alone with yourself. I had this reality that I am the common denominator in all of my problems. And in fact, the common denominator in all my relationships. Now, the relationships that I'm going to talk about, there's going to be different ones. There's one with, I'm telling you, my intimate relationship with my wife. There's the relationship with as a parent. I wasn't a present parent. I would find ways to miss, baseball and soccer and football games because, well, I'm busy or I'm traveling somewhere. I got this going on, or I book clients. I would book clients because, to be honest, I didn't want to have to go to the game and feel the shame of me knowing I hadn't gone to the previous game, or have to possibly find her with the next boyfriend that she's with and have to see some man holding my daughter's hand walking down the game, like these little things that happen. And so I would find myself not being a present father. My relationship with my clients was interesting because my focus wasn't on how to be a great trainer. It was like, how do I just, I don't know, find the next girl to hang out with? You know what I mean? Like that's the energy is in different places. And so because I wasn't centered with the relationship of Anthony, none of the relationships navigated themselves well. They all came tumbling down, we'll call it. And I woke up in this January time frame, and I finally had this realization of, dude, you got to do something to figure yourself out. And I did something that I think everybody at some point in time, if you've been in those funky places, you need to do. And it led to me having some positive pieces. But here's the first thing I did. I asked myself all the questions I did not want answers to. For example, Anthony, why aren't you a good father? Anthony, what was your role in that marriage falling apart? Anthony, how come you're not showing up in the business? All these things. Anthony, why are you out of shape, man? Why? I used to have a gym, and I would cover my belly with the sweatshirts with the logo of the gym, so I would have to show it. It was baggy clothes. I could hide the belly. I worked and trained in a gym all day, yet I did not look like it. You know what I mean? And it was this thing where I had this interesting internal conversation always running, and I never wanted to deal with the conversation. So I did is I went internal. I finally asked these questions, and it provided answers I did not want to hear, to be quite honest. Today, we're going to talk about the way that I look at mindset and resilience. So here's the big thing. Our mindset is included within who we are and our identity. Now, I'm going to extract for you guys something that I talk and walk through called the Slower Go Identity Grid. And the Slower Go Grid's going to let you see in a simple way, like where you stand right now. Some of you might have heard it before. Maybe you've taken the quiz. Maybe you've not. And hopefully you haven't all heard of it, because that'd be kind of like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. But I promise, even if you have, I'll give you a little bit more depth to it. So here's what I want you to grasp. We all have the clear understanding of what a mindset is. However, sometimes we may not understand the inner workings of it or who we are with it. And so we're going to break this down today. I'm going to show you how you are essentially one of 4 different kinds of identities harboring certain mindsets. Now, as I tell you this, I want you to grasp, it doesn't really mean that if you see one that's like not perfect, you say like, oh, it sounds like me. It's not the end of the world. That's the beautiful part about who we are. We can always adjust and grow and change, right? We have neuroplasticity in our brains. We can learn new things. Yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks, no matter what they say. There's a Netflix show I saw about it, just so you know, like really, you can actually teach an old dog new tricks. But we're going to actually teach you guys some cool things. So let's get into this without me talking about it all day. We're going to go over this. Now, in our lives, we always have these different aspects of opportunity and opposition. And to be quite honest, they have this intersection point. They always meet each other if you think about it. There's always this opportunity of something. There's always like but it ain't perfect, right? And I find that as we go through things, we're always trying to figure out like, okay, where do we stand? What do we do? And how do we make the next moments of our lives better? However, how we show up in those moments, those defining moments, those will determine how the next moments are better or not. And so now I'm going to talk you through 4 different types of mental framings and identities that have mindsets to them, right? Of how I think. And I want you to figure out which one you are. So the first one we're going to talk about is a dreamer. Now, think about opportunity and opposition. Now, if I'm a person that when opportunity comes to pass and I sit there and I look at it and I go, oh, it'd be amazing to chase the opportunity, but I go, oh, I don't know if I should, and maybe I can, and I stew on it for too long. What happens to opportunity? It leaves. When I was in college, my college coach, he says, hey, if our opportunity comes knocking at your door, you better open the door, pull him inside, sit him down, get him dinner, make him stay a while. Because if he leaves, we don't know when he's coming back around again. And so the idea is like when opportunity comes, how do you handle it? And some people, we get so apprehensive, we get so processing, we get to the point of just paralyzation by overanalyzation that we don't take opportunity and actually capitalize on it. And at the same time, these same people, they're not really good in opposition. Like when something pops up and rears its head, we question ourselves. My mindset goes, I don't know if I can, if I'm capable, if I'm smart enough. And so what ends up happening is I go, oh, I don't know. And then I end up moving myself back. I find ways to reverse my path. I will make excuses. I will procrastinate. I'll call myself a perfectionist. I'll say, I'm a perfectionist. No, you're just scared of putting it out there. Let's be honest, right? There's this aspect of like the opposition. It makes me feel scared. So what do? I'm always telling people about my dreams. I'm dreaming about this. I'm going to do this. I can do this. I can create this. And an opportunity comes. I go, why didn't you take advantage of it? Oh, well, this happened and I didn't have enough time and I was too busy, or, I didn't know much about it, or you make excuses. And no matter what the excuse, good or bad, it still is an excuse that's stopping you from getting what you want. So that's the first one, a dreamer, someone who doesn't go into the space of taking on opportunity because they're fearful, and those who are not good at tackling opposition. Now, the next person is called a dabbler. A dabbler is someone that says, look, when an opportunity comes up, I'm taking it. Yeah, put me in, coach, buy all the Dogecoin and the different Bitcoin thing. I'm buying all of it. Let me go do it, right? And then maybe it's not that, but maybe it's opportunities that come rise and they go after them full speed. They invest in these things. They buy these things. They go and start these processes. They do stuff, but here's what happens. The moment opposition comes, they shut down. It's too hard. I don't know how to do this. I'm a little bit fearful. I'm scared. And what I do is I pull myself away. I may have started down that path. The moment it got hard, I stopped my progress and I stayed stagnant or went backwards. This happens for a lot of people. They try I want to do live streams and I want to do webinars and I want to write this book. And then it's opportunity to do something. And all of a sudden it gets hard and I go, oh, I don't want to do this. I pull away. And these are what we call the dabblers or shiny object people. Sound familiar? A little bit, maybe. You might even be able to say, that sounds like me. I try things a lot. I'm excited about new things. And people they're around my life. They'll maybe consistently see I'm always excited about something new. Every week it's something new with you, Karen and Susan and Nick and Sean and Sherry. It's always something new with you. Yeah, it is something new because you're a dabbler. Now, again, not the end of the world, but at least maybe you know who you are. And we'll talk about how to be able to make these shifts quickly, the mindset and the identity. The next one, the defender. Now, they, in the past, have taken some opportunities because we don't take no opportunities, right? We have taken some opportunities. And then what happens is I step forward and I go, look, I'm gonna have some success. I've had some success and I'm really good at tackling opposition. If it rears its head, I'm shutting it down. I'm gonna knock it out. I got this covered. However, if a new opportunity comes to pass, I'm very, very apprehensive because it could take away from my current success. This is the undefeated boxer, the person who's always had a great business, never lost a client. These people, they will not take opportunity because what if it sullies up what I've got? And so what they do is they live a stagnant, boxed in life. Brennan would call it partly the caged life, right? Because now what happens is I've had this success and I don't want any of this to go away. So I don't want anything to come in and possibly mess this up or make me look bad. So I don't want to be embarrassed. So I don't take advantage of new opportunities. But if lo and behold, if you ever decide to take away what I already got, I'm fighting you for it. Don't you dare say I'm not this or not this or not this. I'll fight to hold my space, but I won't fight for more, right? There's a difference, there's a separation. And so that's a defender. They hold their ground, they stay their pace, and they watch life, unfortunately, pass them by. And it sucks. I know people like this. They're like, no, I got this. I don't want to do anything. I'm like, oh, but you could have done this, and I'm happy. Yeah, but there's always a level of happy above the level you're at now if you choose to seek opportunities. Now, the fourth one, which is the one that I have a belief that a fair majority of you 100% have to have a piece of at times. And just keep in mind, we have multiple identities and mindsets that sit in different spaces. So if you happen to be one of these, you can be like, hey, I'm a dabbler. You may not be a dabbler everywhere. You might be a dabbler in work. You might be a defender in relationship. I would hope that you are, because a defender in relationship means you're great in the one you're at. You don't want to seek more opportunities. You know what I mean? Like that's not a good thing. Don't do that. But you might also be a dreamer in the aspect of hobbies. Like, I want to go be a skydiving coach. No, I don't. But that could be a dreaming idea, right? You see what I'm saying? Multiple identities. So I believe in your personal growth, a lot of you guys fit into this space right here. It's called a doer. So a doer is someone that says, look, I love opportunity. I seek it out. I want to find out what's new. I want to read the books. I want to get into the programs. I want to join Growth Day. I want to do it all. I want to try it all. And here's why, because you know that if you chase down an opportunity, inevitably there will be opposition. But within the opposition, you have the ability and you know you'll take it on. You'll go fight hard. So you're like, I'm taking it on because I know if I go in this opportunity, I'm going to keep going because I handle opposition well. And then you know that if you face opposition, it's okay because here's the truth. What high performers and growth dares, I know you guys know this. If you are a person that can handle opposition, you know that opposition, when overcome, creates new opportunities. Every time. I don't care who you are, but if you have a problem and you solve it, you have a new set of tools, which means a new opportunity has placed itself in your life. It's literally how it all. I tell people that when you're in the realm of like what I do, coaching, my job is to create new problems for you. What do you mean, Anthony? Well, if I solve the problem and help you be happier, more joyous, maybe make some more money, well, now you have a new problem of, okay, what do I do with my taxes? What do I buy? What do I invest? You know what I'm saying? It is new problems. Interesting way to look at it. But those who are doers, they will go after opportunity or go after opposition because they know it actually benefits synergistically. Now, there's different levels of doers. In my experience, we don't like hanging out with dreamers. I don't want to know what you're going to do. I want to know what you've done. And it's not a bad thing at the end of the world, but just be aware of this. Today, we're talking about friendships, and it was cool to be able to be around my friends, man. I have pockets of friends. You guys probably know what that means. Like I have my professional business, current friends, we'll call it. Then I have like the friends that I've known for 27 years. I have my friend that's my wife. I have all these different amazing friends, right? But their ways is all navigate and merge together. And so today I want to talk about those because here's my true belief. I believe that the best and worst part of this world are people, man. It may be debatable, but I feel like the things that I love the most, like as people, right? And the things that I dislike come from people, unfortunately, or things people do to us. But I don't know if we ever navigate this properly or we have any idea of the best way to look at what goes on. Because here's what I do know. When I am operating consistently in interaction with my best friends, the people around me, life is enjoyable to levels I cannot explain. Like it was really, the last few days was so amazing to get to sit in a room with people that just get you and they talk to you in certain ways and they tell you what you need to hear sometimes, not what you want to hear. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you get to expand and kind of create. And then also if you want to go to a higher level in your life, you need people around you. You can't do it by yourself. Like we all think we're self-made and solo. I don't know a single person that has done something without any other human being involved in some capacity. So I want to anchor that as we get into this today is like friendships. The reason this whole topic is chosen today is I think it's incredibly paramount to us finding some levels of success in life. So let's rock and roll with this today. First thing, I think one of the most important things when it comes to friendships, there's actually studies based around this, is that it's connection and time while connected. There are actually studies that show that the longer you spend of time with somebody, the closer you get bonded to them. And I think that there's this perception of if you're just around them, it's just all of a sudden if I put a clock on at 60 hours, you're my best friend now. Like that would be weird. Like you can't put a clock on something like that. But do keep in mind, you need to be in proximity to certain people for a period of time. So if you're wondering, why don't I have great friendships? Well, ask yourself, are you investing in actually setting up time to hang out with people? People who are introverts, I found, like they don't like to go out and be around a lot of people and wonder, why don't I have friends? Well, because you want to only be around you. Like if you want to have great friendships, go and be around people. And what this may look like is some discomfort of setting a lunch date or a dinner date. Maybe you don't go, in a whole group, it's just you and that person, or you go hang out and do something you guys are both interested in, right? Common interest is a big thing with friendships, but you actually have to get to the point of spending time with people. It's a big, big piece there. So if you have an area on the top of your paper right now, say, I got to spend more time with people I want to be friends with. And it might be awkward at first. Maybe it's the soccer mom that you guys bring your kids to and from all the time. You have great conversations while you're at practice or games, but outside of games, you never talk. Well, be the weird person that says, hey, Susan, do you want to go for a coffee in the morning? Sure, let's go after we drop the kids off, right? Create the moments that create time to create good, deep, bonded friendships. And I promise you'd be surprised. A lot of people probably need that just as much as you do. So it's not that weird. They're like, oh, I'm so thankful you took me out to tea because I've really been wanting to have a crumpet with you. Tea and crumpets. I don't know anything about them, but I feel like I throw it in there. Anyways, I'm a tea guy. I don't drink coffee, by the way. Now, the next part of this is when you're with these people, what do you do? Now, a lot of people think if you just hang out, they're going to be friends, everything's great. But I have found that there are individuals who I have been able to spend a little bit less time with, but been very, very deeply connected to them. I used to go to this event years ago, and it would like happen like later in the nighttime where we would all like to have like kind of a cool little closed down party. And they'd have these very specific areas set aside on the beaches or these cool areas where you could just talk. They facilitated discussion. Now, obviously, time's a big proponent, but what you do in that time matters. And here's what I was able to do to, I'll say, collapse the time to create great friends. There are people that I had known for 3 days that were closer to me than people I'd known for 3 years. And here's why. When I sat with these people, I opened my heart and shared things that literally I'd never shared with anybody before. And what happens in a special moment is it's catharsis. It comes out of me. Like I feel a levity, right? And when you have other human beings that accept and embrace that, don't make fun of you, don't shut things down, they go, oh, I see you. I feel you. And on top of that, they now feel permission to share with you. And you get to that vulnerable, open, really raw spot. That's where connection takes place. Now, when I say we get to do that, like I'm not just saying you kind of have to do it. You have to do it if you want to bond a relationship. Think about the closest relationship you have. Maybe you're intimate, your wife or your husband, whatever it may be, or your partner in some capacity. Why are they so close to you? They just know a lot about you. They almost know everything. They know when you fart in the bed and they're like, oh, it stinks. They know what, like if your sink's dirty because you don't take the thing and brush your teeth in the little area. They know if like you leave the toilet seat up. They know things about you, right? They're intimately close to you. And so what happens, you have a different space. And so you have to start thinking about is the reality of when you're creating those deep bonded connections, you have to be able to open up a little bit more you typically would, because if you don't open up, people don't get to know the heart of who you are. And when they get to know the heart of who you are, you start finding there's more of a connection there than people you've known for a lot of years. So if you can find that space to create those areas by actually opening up and sharing more than most human beings would, you find that you get to learn more about their heart. They learn about you and you feel that acceptance. Because friendships have got to be based on an acceptance space. Like the friends that I have, we have real conversations. We open up and talk. I've got friends that I've known since I was in second grade, like a core group of my friends from Jason, Nick, Kevin, Jeff kind of floats around in the circle there, but like second, third grade, we've been friends and we know a lot. We've gone through all the journeys of the ups and the downs. I've supported them through different levels of relationships, different levels of friendships, parenting and kids. We've just been there. So if you think about the time you have to spend with somebody's got to be there, but what you do in that time, in fact, heavily matters. So you got to focus on choosing to spend time and allocating it, but opening up while in that moment with them. Because if you don't do that, you pull punches, you don't share certain things. Well, what ends up happening is you have this disconnected kind of relationship where you're there, but you can't open up. If you can't open up, you don't feel connected. And then the distance gets created. So when you're around someone, you're like, I should be close to this person. I should be around, but I feel bogged down. I feel like I can't really express myself because when I do, they don't accept this, or they don't, or there's an anger that comes back, or like there's an argument that takes place. It's like, no, if you can open up and flow, it gets to be much better. Now, the next piece of this is when you have the right friends in your life, the right friends will tell you, I alluded to it a moment ago, they'll tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. Because if you're honest with yourself, there are a lot of things that you might know are kind of like the depths of going on. But when somebody tells it to you, one of two things takes place. Either one, your ego rears up. You don't like to hear this. So what you do is you get into this argument to defend your ego, to defend your current identity, because you don't want to have anybody see you sweat, right? And if you have friends that hear, like when they say something to you and you take it in an abrasive manner, well, what happens is they stop telling you things. They stop sharing things with you. They stop opening up, and now you feel that separation create a space, right? But the reality is you need to be in a place where you can actually hear the things that need to be told to you, not just what you want to hear at times. And it is hard. Some people, like they have this desire to do it, and when somebody tells it to them, like they'll embrace it, and some will take some time to embrace it, but they'll eventually go, you know what? I was wrong. You're right. I get this. And they'll bring it in. And then some people will never do it. Some people will just continue to keep beating their head against the wall, and people look at them and go, man, I keep saying this person just won't listen. And then after a while, you start feel that person stop telling you things, stop sharing certain things, stop opening up in certain ways. And it creates this space that doesn't need to be there, but it's there because you didn't want to hear what needed to be heard. And so you have to find people in your life that are not the ones that are like just only celebrating and rah, rah, sis, boom, bop. They're actually telling like, hey, I see this. So you might want to work on, and in that space, consider working on it and not have the ego rear up and go, well, the only reason I'm doing it is because you're telling me to. Well, maybe they're telling you and you should do it, even if they're telling you to do, if that makes sense. So think about this. And these are some, if you think about it, it's kind of some interesting things that I'm talking about friendship wise. I mostly would think like, oh, on a friendship conversation for Growth Day, we should be talking about all the chummy stuff. Well, this creates the chummy moments. This creates those non-elephant in the room moments when you're able to talk about these very specific things. And then here's the other piece that has to take place when it comes to a friendship. The friendships that I have, no one keeps score. The best friendships I have, no one's keeping score on who did what and how we did this and how it took place. It's never a scorekeeping situation. In fact, the reality is if I want to get something from this individual, from this human, I got to give. And you got to give without expecting a return. You got to do certain things that show up in a certain way where you're not expecting some return that has to be there. So what it ends up being is I'm giving openly, I'm sharing openly, I'm doing certain things this person needs, this person I care about, this person I love. I'm doing the things without keeping score, without telling them all the things I'm doing. I just do them. And what happens is you find that in that pattern, that process, people eventually get to the role of starting to give you back what you need.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.